Good afternoon, everyone. Government puts French wheat loss at 10%, yet private firms claiming over 20% loss due to excessive flooding, rain soaking, moldy, virus-ridden, scabby wheat. Rainfall was 38% above normal. Jumping over to the U.S., North Dakota winter wheat forecast slipping 13%, and the yields across the U.S. have dropped from 48 bushels per acre down to 45, as well the barley crop dropping 35% and the oat crop dropping 17%. If we look through history at food prices, every time there's a grand solar minimum, you'll see the spikes in prices. On the map, wherever you see red, it's going to get cooler. Everywhere you see yellow, it's going to rain more. French wheat production this year, the worst in 40 years. They expect at least a 10% drop from the government figures. Private analysts coming out putting it well above 20%. A couple headlines about the wheat price increases due to the French production. How does this play out? Well, here's the graph of expected production coming out. It shows a minimum of a 3 million metric ton loss. If we put it into numbers, last year, 91% of the fields were in good condition. This year, 83%. And they're not done reporting yet as there's more rain on the way. They talk about the average 130 hectare farm is going to lose 130,000 euros. Now multiply that by millions of hectares. Rain-soaked French wheat, soggy conditions are causing scab, head blight, and yellow dwarf virus. Mold and scab here. Discoloration. This is what happened in the 1600s as well. That's why there were famines across Europe. When they did grow the wheat, there was so much mold and blight that when they did grow it, it wasn't even fit for animal food. Now we're starting to see a repeat pattern of this right now. Rainfall increased 38% above normal levels, which was exactly what was seen in the Maunder minimum. Excessive rain in France. This is what the wheat yield will look like. The more rain there is, the cooler it gets. When we look at the Great Famine of 1315, cold weather, torrential rains. The French Revolution, at the very end of the Maunder minimum, 2 decades of poor cereal harvest. Looking at prices of wheat over the last 800 years, those 2 spikes, those are grand solar minimums. We are at the cusp of a new grand solar minimum. Taking a look back the last 500 years, price of rye in Germany spiking due to climate causes. 1600s was the Maunder minimum, 1800s was the Dalton minimum. Bring you a little bit closer view over the last 150 years. The 2 spike rises there are due to the world wars. The prices we're paying right now are some of the lowest in history. Now you can only imagine an upward possibility from this point forward. If we look at the hemispheric temperatures, you can easily see the drop in the Maunder minimum, which matches perfectly with the wheat prices over time here. Price that you pay for your food is directly related to the climatic conditions on our planet in a stable fashion. Over these last, say, 80 years, we've had incredibly stable conditions to grow large-scale crops on mega farms. This is about to change. Everywhere you see a red dot, temperatures are going to cool. Everywhere you see yellow, it's going to rain more. Jumping over to the U.S., specific state of North Dakota, spring wheat decline. Yet over the entire United States, the bushel per acre yield has decreased from 48 bushels down to 45 bushels. Looking at barley, down 25%. And oats down 17%. These would be substitution crops. If you lost wheat and corn, you would next go down to sorghum, millet, barley, oats. Yet the decreases in these are going to drive prices across the board. There is nowhere to run. Hence, I could see why the FEMA contractor, they put out this lengthy report about food price rises and what's going to happen with the social chaos. And you can clearly see by 2020, a year that they specifically targeted. So putting 2 and 2 together, you can see why there's so much global chaos. Everything is getting militarized in preparation for these food price increases and loss of crops globally. Take it another step forward. We're looking at the outlook for winter temperatures across the United States and Canada, well below normal in most of the food growing areas. And I get a lot of people asking me, how can you profit off of the knowledge of knowing in advance where the food prices will rise and which sections of the earth are going to cool, and how will that drive a crop price, which crops are going to fail? I'm going to direct you over to Bob here at Trade Genius. He has a deep working knowledge of the grand solar minimum effects, which food prices are going to rise, specifically coffee, wheat, corn. He's got a full range focusing on grand solar minimum effects and the trades coming forward with that. Probably want to contact him, write him an email, reach out to him. He's got a lot of answers on what's going to happen within the stock market and how you can profit on these food price rises. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. Keep an eye on commodities prices because they are going nowhere but up from here.